Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me today on Tracy's Tuesday Talks. Today I am going to be talking about something that is just making some big waves in the news since last week, the student loan crisis and Navient. So it came out last week that a settlement was given from Navient that they are paying $1.7 billion with a B to cancel some private student loans. That is huge. So essentially what happened was 39 lawyers from across the country got together. They went after Navient, which is one of the largest student loan servicing companies ever, and said, you guys are doing some predatory lending practices. They deny it, of course. Just FYI, so I give credit, most of my research was done quoting from a Forbes article written by Adam S. Minsky, who is an attorney for student loan borrowers. He said that Navient was sued for predatory predatory lending practices, things such as not giving students all of their options and really pressuring them to go into high interest forbearance, not talking about other programs that they could have chosen, such as income-driven repayment plans or public service loan forgiveness program. We'll talk more about that later. And essentially, what happened was $1.7 billion later, 66,000 private student loans are going to be forgiven, canceled through Navient. Now, here's the kicker. Of these 66,000 student loans that are going to be forgiven, like, you're free, you're done, like, you're good to go, there are so many restrictions on who qualifies for these. So some of these restrictions, you have to be in certain states. Most, but not all states qualify. The student loans had to have been taken out between 2002 and 2014, so several years. They had to have been in long-term forbearance and some other ridiculous qualifications. So I'm just saying, don't really hold your breath to have your student loans forgiven through the settlement. Another thing to look at is, yes, 66,000 people are having their private student loans forgiven, private, not federal. Navient services 12 million loans. So 66 of 12 million student loans are being forgiven. However, even though there's no federal loans that are being forgiven, there is restitution being paid out. So in addition to the $1.7 billion for private student loans, Navient is also having to pay $95 million with an M, dollars to 350,000 borrowers. So $350,000, borrowers are going to be getting a check in the mail, supposedly, for between $260 and $270. Yeah. That's great. All of this to say, don't bank on the government forgiving your student loans. Please do not let the government take control of your financial future. I beg you. One thing I wanted to discuss was the difference between forbearance, which is what got Navient in trouble, versus deferment. So basically the real kicker is Navient pressured people to go into forbearance, which is postponing your payments for a long period of time or a certain agreed upon period of time, but they still get interest paid or tacked onto the loan during the time that you don't have to pay. So for example, if you don't have to pay your loan in forbearance for 18 months, you're still accruing 18 months of interest that's going to be tacked onto that loan. And then, because you got all those thousands of dollars of interest tacked onto your loan over 18 months,
You're going to be paying more interest on it. They're like double dipping on the back end because you're going to have to pay interest on the interest that you were in forbearance on. With deferments, the difference between forbearance and deferment is deferment, there is no interest accumulating during the non-payment time. Excuse me, I'm not feeling the greatest right now. I'm just kind of getting my way through this. With deferment, the payments are just tacked on to the back end of the loan. So if you are trying to pay your loan over 15 years and you go into deferment for 2 years, it just gets tacked on, so you're paying for 17 years. So some of the things that got Navient into trouble was not sharing with the student loan borrowers a couple of different plans that they could have that I want to bring up and talk about. One of them is income-driven repayment plans. So essentially, it's a sliding scale. So if you make X amount of dollars, then you pay this lower amount versus people who make more money, then they have to pay more money. I have run into clients and had conversations with people who are afraid to get pay raises because they're on an income-driven repayment plan. They don't want to pay more for their student loans. But here's the thinking behind that is you're afraid to get a pay increase and make more money and, essentially have the opportunity to have a better financial future because you're afraid of paying more on your student loans. Really? Think about that. You would rather stay in a low income situation so you don't have to pay back or pay a lower amount on your student loans. That to me sounds like slavery. The borrower is slave to the lender. You are allowing the student loan to dictate your financial future. Stop it. The other one is Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. So this is basically a program for public service people. So if you're in the medical field or you're a teacher or you're in law enforcement or whatever, I'm not sure who all is included as public service for these. If you pay your loan on time every day or every month for 10 years, if you never miss a payment, if you work 10 years for a nonprofit or a qualifying government entity, if you stick with your position, you stay as you are in that position that qualifies for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program over 10 years, the government will supposedly pay or forgive the rest of what you owe on your student loan. So here's the thing with that. Of the hundreds of thousands of people who have applied for this program, since November of 2020, only 2.16% of those loans have been forgiven. Less than 3%. I don't know about you, but I don't want to gamble 10 years of my life to have a 2% chance of my student loans forgiven. Stop giving the government control of your financial future through student loans. Pay them off. Right now, we are in another extended period of where student loans, federal student loans, aren't having to be paid back. This is a blessing to be able to pay whatever you can towards your student loans and have it go towards the principal to pay them off sooner if you're able to. Now, if you're in between a rock and a hard place and there's just no way in your budget, by all means, take advantage of not having to pay. But if you are able to, even just a little bit, please pay on your student loans. Take advantage of this incredible opportunity to have everything go towards the principal and not the interest. Ramsey Solutions, Dave Ramsey's company, came out with an interesting, to say the least, documentary called Borrowed Future about the student loan crisis. It will get you fired up. Because here's the thing, even if Biden decided he kept his word and the government got together and said, oh yeah, we'll forgive everybody's student loans, no problem, which is not going to happen. I highly doubt it. That doesn't solve the issue. That doesn't stop people ruining their financial future for a degree that they may or may not use. Going to school to learn something that they may or may not go into a field for, and if they don't, they still have to pay on it. That doesn't solve the issue. I heard an interesting fact that there are 10 million less students enrolled this year in college than there have been in the past. A significant drop in college enrollment because people are starting to wake up to what's going on. February 1st, I invite you to join me on Tracy's Tuesday Talks. I'm going to have a guest speaker, Seth Connell, who is finishing up law school. We all know, doctors and lawyers, they've got really big, tuition bills. He and his wife have been able to cash flow him going to school as a lawyer completely debt-free. It's possible. You can do it. So February 1st, join me at noon. We're going to have Seth on here and we're going to discuss how he was able to do it and how you can also go to college, get that degree that you want wisely, and not have to give away your income for the next 20, 30, 40 years. I hope that this rendition of Tracy's Tuesday Talks was helpful. If you feel like that you are in a ball and shackle around your neck because of your student loans, I would love to have a conversation with you. Let's get that paid off. Let's figure out a plan to set you free from that. So you can have Sally Mae, Navient, or whoever the heck it is you owe money to move out of your bedroom. Thanks, guys. Have a blessed day.